posible que me engañes más. No implores más. No me busques más. Escucha este consejo, no vuelvas a engañar en el mundo jamás. Ay, ay, ay. Como ayer. Como ayer. Como ayer. Como ayer. Como ayer.
Dicen que muere de espanto
Como ayer.
aquel que visiones ve.
Como ayer.
Pero dicen que muere de espanto
Como ayer.
aquel que visiones ve.
Como ayer.
Yo he visto la muerte en Sanco,
Como ayer.
no sé si me moriré.
Como ayer.
Mi madre me dijo un día,
Como ayer.
Tito, ¿por qué tú no cantas?
Como
Mi
ayer.
madrecita me dijo un día,
Como ayer.
Tito, ¿por qué tú no cantas?
Como ayer.
Si yo te di la garganta
Como ayer.
de acero y mampostería.
Como ayer.
Vaya Irene, sabrosón con ese tren. El 3-0 sinfónico.
Como ayer. Como ayer. Como ayer. Como ayer.
Well, good morning if it's morning, good evening if it's evening, and good night if it's night. And a big hearty salam alaikum to each and every one of you that's listening to us live or will be listening to us in archives. First of all, I want to send a quick shout out to all our listeners on YouTube, on iHeartRadio, and all the other places that people come to listen to us at, especially our listeners on Facebook. But let me tell you something. You can always come in and join us on our live chat line, which happens to be here on Spreaker each and every day. I also want to tell you that I'm working on, the logistics of it, but I'm trying to get at least 2 guests here on a week. Hopefully it will be able to be done soon. I got to tell you that I'm going through the sniffles. The weather has changed. It gets cold one day, it gets hot the next, and things have been a little bit wild on the weather front over here in Fort Worth, Texas. But I'd like to tell each and every one of you that I am enjoying being here with you each and every day on It's 12 O'Clock Somewhere, where we play a little music, we talk a little stuff, we give a little advice, and we do the things that we, I guess, like to hear the best. I have gotten us some new music. Hopefully some guys will enjoy it. Some probably won't. Some people will say maybe it's a little bit too old or something like of that sort. But listen, I'm going to let some of the people join us in the chat room before I start talking about today's topic, because most of the time I start talking a little bit too early and people don't catch the intro, and then they have to go back and catch it. So, like I said, I'm going to play us a little bit of more music, and then I'll go into my topic for the day, which are things that were slung across my desk. I'll be right back. Get out of here. Go. Get out.
I feel you're rushing me.
Okay. Since you don't love me, but don't want to be with me.
No, it's not that. It's just that I'm afraid of getting hurt. I don't know. I just keep asking myself, should I really take you home? What do you think?
That was Lisa and the Coke Jam, featuring Full Force, I Wonder If I Can Take You Home. Well, guys, I gotta tell you, man, most of you who know me know that I don't partake in many Facebook groups, especially when it comes to spirituality or Orisha worship or even Palo worship. But things are always thrown across my desk where people tell me, or I see in someone's post, things that people had said. One of my good friends, David Goodwin, posted something about that he saw inside of a group on Facebook. And there was an Alayu, meaning a person that is not in Orisha, speaking about Odus and casting the Delogun, which are the shells that people throw in Lukumi and in traditional Ifa. And I was taken aback by this, but I've known it's been happening for years because I've seen people so-called throwing the Delogun on many occasions. But I always stay quiet on it, because Lord knows I have enough enemies. But as I was reading everything that everyone was saying, I really got taken aback. See, there are certain things going on online where people are speaking about bloodlines and how you don't need initiation, and as one fool often says, who initiated the first person? Guys, ladies and gentlemen, the Delogun is given to you upon your initiation, meaning that you are initiated into Orisha, and certain or all Orishas are given Deloguns. They're given shells, and these shells speak for the Orisha. Well, actually, the Elewa is the one that you actually use for, or Eshu is the one that you use for divination. I have seen things where people have spoken about Odu and spoken about these things that only priests should speak about. I am not one to speak or talk ill about innovation, but I am one to speak about things that are made up and things that have nothing to do with our spirituality. A person that is not a priest, someone who has not had Ache placed on their head, should not, cannot divine with Delogun. Not with the Mano Rula, not with your hand of Ifa, not with this, not with that. You have to have Ache placed on your head, and you have to receive those Orishas that will speak through the Delogun. And it takes sometimes years before you're able to find out all the do's and all the things that go with the falling of the shells. So to those people who say, that claim, that think that they can throw the lagoon by birthright, they're absolutely wrong. Upon you receiving your Orisha, upon you receiving your Ache on your head, is when the Delagoons are given to you. Upon them being washed, fed, then washed again. There is no such thing as a person that is not initiated and truly initiated into the path of into Orisha. Can a person throw the Delagoon? See, that's why I tell people all the time, due diligence. This is a small community. Everyone knows each other. Everyone knows who's crowned and who's not. Just because someone places something on their Facebook wall, on the social media, or on their thing, there is a group in Miami claiming to be paleros and espiritistas that don't have anything to do with them. You have to do due diligence. And if you are one of these people that your godparents are telling you, here, learn this, here, learn that, learn Odu, learn how to cast the eleki. I mean, not the eleki, the thing that the Babalaos use. Learn how to do this, learn how to do that. There is no such thing. I did not even purchase the shells until I was crowned, because I knew of the disrespect that there was in it. But yet and still, people are trying to go around, leap around, fly around the things that are supposed to be done. Again, a person that does not have Orisha on his head and is not initiated cannot throw Delagoon, cannot talk on Delagoon. It is just not possible. But I got another topic for you when I come back. But of course, I am Candelo Kimbisa, and it's 12 o'clock somewhere. Please, let's make this a little bit more funner. Guys, stop throwing that stuff on my desk. But I got some more tea to spill. I'll be right back.
Everybody get up! Who's that dancing to the latest? Swap got nothing on me. I'm less than 5'1", 100 pounds of foot. I like sophisticated funk. I live on Don Perignon, caviar, filet mignon, and you can best believe that's bone. Here's what I'm talking about. Swabbing. Swabbing. I've been coquette with showy little bit, and some they call me vanilla child. But you know that don't mean my world to me, cause baby name can't cramp my style. I love chicken and bus collard greens, a little hot water cornbread. I love you too, cat daddy, but don't you let that go to your head. That's what I'm talking, baby. Swabbing. Swabbing. You know I like spirituals and rock. Sarah Vaughan, Johann Sebastian Bach, Shakespeare, Maya Angelou, and Nikki Giovanni, just to name a few. Well, I'm rolling peaceful, Lady T. I got to keep my irons in the fire. You see, I got the point, the scam, the low, the deal. What you feel? Say what? Flash that, who's that? Flash that, who's that? So don't you have no doubt, I'm gonna spell it out. If you to the T, that is. I got the best and most, baby, from coast to coast, and I don't roll the boat, but I love you square biz. I'm talking square this to you, baby. Square, square this, I'm talking love, that is. Square, square this, I'm talking square this to you, baby. Square, square this, I'm talking love, that is. Woo! I'm gonna talk about it. I'm gonna talk about my love, that is. Talk about it. I'm gonna talk about my love, that is. I'm gonna hit you to the T, the T. What's the T? Now you know that's me. Flashback, who's that? Flashback, flashback, who's that? Flashback, flashback, who's that? Flashback, flashback, who's that? I'm gonna talk about it. I'm gonna talk about my love. I'm gonna talk about it. I'm gonna talk about my love. I'm gonna hit you to the T.
Dancing, talking to the Nick and Lady T. Well, everybody's dancing on the T.
Now that was Tina Marie with Square Biz. Today's Tough Shit Tarot of the Day says, hold my weave. It is time to get angry and stand up for yourself. Try not to speak through your emotions, but instead communicate from a clear-minded, centered place. That was today's Tough Shit Tarot of the Day. I gotta tell you, I'm gonna tell you. Now this is a stolen quote from the day. I stole this quote from my good friend Ifa Ibeyu. It says, people project lessons you taught them to others and forget who taught them. Be careful who you criticize and judge and how ruthlessly you judge. The universe will judge you with the same ruthlessness, watching you turn into the very thing you hated to begin with. I have seen this so many times, where people criticize and forget the people who have done good things for them. Mind you, I have never forgotten anyone who's done good for me. But, of course, I'm not the same as everybody else. There is a good short story today that I'm going to share with you. This story comes from, of course, shortspiritualstories.com. Why leave man to the sixth day? A group of wise men gathered to discuss the work of God. They wanted to know why he had left the sixth day to create man. He thought about first organizing the universe as well, so we could come together as marbles and be available to us, said one of them. First of all, he wanted to run some tests on the animals, so he can make sure that he didn't make the same mistakes with us, argued another. One wise Jewish man showed up to the meeting. They told him what was the discussion about. In your opinion, why did God leave man for last? He looked and he grabbed the side of his chin and he said, very simple. And he commented, so that when we were moved by pride, he would remember that even a simple mosquito enjoyed the priority in the work of his divine. This is from spiritualshortstories.com. It is called Why Lead Man to the Sixth Day. Please go over to spiritualshortstories.com and check out that website. I actually usually love it. I use it each and every day. Now it's time for the second part of our little conversation. This conversation again was splued across my desk, or across my computer screen today. The conversation came about because someone posted in a group, has someone ever had sex or been mounted sexually by an Orisha? Wow. I honestly think that people need some psychological help, because all type of sex with entities or with spirits without your written consent or approval is rape. But to answer her question, no. Orishas do not mount people to have sex with them. It is totally against our thing. Sexuality or sex is totally devoid of the human and spiritual connections. No. I have seen things of people say, well, this person came to me and this and this and this. Don't you know that spirits wear a mask? That Abigu's land-based spirits wear a mask. So if my spirit wants to bring a message to you and you don't know him, he's going to put the mask of me on and make you and rely that message towards you. Vice versa. If there is a landlocked spirit or some type of malevolent spirit, he may come dressed up as what you perceive to be an Orisha. But it is not. Has nothing to do with that. Human and spiritual sex is a no-no. It is an invasion of your privacy. It is an invasion of your body. It is an invasion of you. I see nothing good coming out of that conversation unless someone speaks up and tells them what I'm telling them. This is outright foolishness. I try to tell people all the time, find your base. Find your things. Find your ancestry first. Deal with your ego. Deal with the things that are placing you. Deal with what you call your bloodline. Not the spirituality of it. The genes of it. What runs through your veins from it. Then go and find out. Because this is getting outrageous. The amount of people that are saying, well, this runs through my bloodline. Really? Last time I checked, Orisha chooses you. Egun chose you. Even your spirits that are around you chose you. But they're not supposed to sleep with you. There is nothing that will change my mind with that. But of course, I am no one to tell you. I've only been doing this for 30-something years. But while I'm doing that, let me play you a little Michael McDonald. I'll be right back.
to say the things we both know are true. But tell me how come I keep forgetting we're not in love anymore. I keep forgetting things will never be the same again. I keep forgetting how you made that so clear. I keep forgetting, babe. Every time I hear how you never want to live a lie, how it's gone too far, and you don't have to tell me why. Why are you gone, and why the game is through? If this is what's real, if this is what's true, tell me how come I
Keep forgetting we're not in love anymore.
baby.
Things will never be the same again. I keep forgetting how you made that so clear.
Yeah, baby. Don't say that, don't say that, don't say that. I know you're not mine anymore, anyway, anytime. Tell me how come
We're not in love anymore.
how come
Things will never be the same again. I keep forgetting how you made that so clear.
I keep forgetting, baby. Every time you're near,
We're not in love anymore.
every time you're near, baby.
Things will never be the same.
Hey, baby.
Forget how you made that so clear.
Every time you're near,
Forgetting.
Okay, before I get off my ranting stage today, that was Michael McDonald with I Keep Forgetting. Another thing that was flown across my computer screen today was the claim that since women couldn't go into Ifa, this was the claim. I got to tell you that there's such a thing as Yanifas, and there are Ifa priestesses in Africa, but whatever. That they needed to sleep with a babalao so they could put their ache inside of them. I have to tell you that there is no such thing. There is no ache coming out of someone's penis, no matter how great they think they are. The ache that they speak of, everyone has. We just have ache to different limits, or to different parts of our bodies. Let me explain something to you, sisters. You have divine ache between your fucking legs, because it has given birth not only to us, but to humanity. Your umbilical cord connects you to your children, to your children's children, and so on and so forth. The first secrets were brought over from Africa with, or by women. By women. Inside their holy vessels. So there is no ache that someone's going to be able to give you unless they place it on top of your head the day that you receive Ocha. That is all I'm going to say about that. But please do tell your friends, please do tell your family members that there is no ache coming out of penises. The ache that all you seek, the ache that all you speak about, you already have. It was placed upon you at the time of birth. It was placed upon you before you were even born. Now the thing is, whether or not you're going to attune that ache. Well, That's all I have to say about that. Our story today from the adventures of High John the Conqueror, which is very fitting, is called Freedom. High John had put it over on old Master so many times in so many ways that Master began to go a little crazy. Not crazy like a quail whose young have just stolen from the nest, but more like a mockingbird who left his mind behind in the last tree. He would walk around aimlessly around the plantation, chatting to himself. No one could understand what he was pattering about, because his mumblings were filled with anger and frustration, and the words kept bumbling up against each other. But old Master knew exactly what he was thinking and feeling. He only wanted John to behave the way he thought a slave should behave. Obedient, humble, submissive, and subservient. He tried everything from whipping to whompings, to chains and confinement, but John's doings kept outdoing him. Finally, old Master wanted to do was get rid of John and just get him out of his life. He would have shot him if old Missy hadn't pointed out that by doing so he would end up with one dead body. Therefore, if he sold him, he would get a couple of $1,000 richer. After all, he reminded John he was strong and well and healthy, and in his prime, if he could get him to do work. He could do more than most other men. Master saw the wisdom in this, and he heard an old rice grower from the low country in the old town was looking to acquire some stout field hands. He went to him and offered him John for sale. Never being sick a day in his life, said Master. He can do most work of 2 or 3 men if you can get him to do it. The rice grower, whose face was wrinkled and scarred, and he had been burnt in the fire. Slaves are slaves. The only reason they were put on earth is to work for the likes of me. Like it or not, I got plenty of ways to make sure they do the work. That may be so, replied Master, but it's only fair to tell you that John has plenty ways of not doing it. I'd hate to admit it, but he is a silver tongue that is so polished he can make you laugh even when you don't want to. Is that so? Well, I tell you, where I come from, I am known as the mean man of the swamps, and I haven't found anything to laugh at since the day I was born. I'll take him. And just like that, John became someone else's property. John's new home was deep in the southern swamps. Here they grew rice instead of cotton. They felled up against the giant cypress trees and split them into pickets and posts and rails. The mosquitoes buzzed, and there wasn't every bit of the day where they weren't, and everyone was expected to work from they can't to they could. That was from first light to the last thing you saw deep in the night, so you couldn't see. On the first morning there, John knew the new owner told him, "Today you're going to dig 500 feet of new ditches out of this marsh. And when you're done with that, you're going to split a pile of log into rails. By the time I'm through with you, you're going to believe that rest thinks you're dead. You understand me?" "Oh, I understand, and it's fine by me," said John, "seeing that I am new around here. If I can make you laugh, will you give me a day off?" Oh, so he started already, thought the mean man of the swamps. But never have I been known even to smile. Never mind laugh. He was feeling pretty sure about himself. "If you can make me laugh," he grumbled, "not only will I give you a day off, I will give you your freedom." So John began to look at him up and down, from head to toe and back again. Then he walked around him a few times, peering into his ears, into his nose, until he finally just stood there eyeball to eyeball, looking directly into the burned and twisted face. "What are you looking at?" demanded the mean old man of the swamp. "I was just thinking," said John, "and I'm looking at you, and I'm thinking about you are about the most handsome man I've ever seen, anywhere, any place, anyhow." Still scowling, John's new master growled back, "I'm sorry, but I can't say the same about you." "Oh, you could, master. You could," said John, grinning ear to ear. "You could if you were a big as liar as I am." The mean man of the swamps, just like the old master before, couldn't help himself. He grinned back, and before he could stop, he was laughing out loud. And that's how High John the Conqueror got his freedom. You got to think, guys, that in 1865, a few years before the Civil War had ended, slavery finally come to an end. It had been 246 years since the first slaves were brought to Virginia. Now, almost 4 million black people had been living as slaves were free. Freedom, though, brought its own problems. Most slaves, under the threat of severe punishment, had been prohibited from learning how to read and write. Few of them had many skills beyond farming. Tens of thousands of them left the land and headed for new lives in the cities in the north and in the south, but most of them stayed behind. The land remained possession of those who had owned them before the emancipation. The land, the farmers, and the plantation owners. However, they were no longer free labor as the slaves had been given to them. Now they had money to pay and women to work in the fields, the crops to be grown, and the free slaves needed food and work, and a system called sharecropping began. Old master vanished only to replace by old boss. High John the Conqueror stayed around, of course, because his will and spirit were needed. Again, guys, these are The Adventures of High John the Conqueror by Stephen Sandfield. It is published by August House. Please do yourself a favor and check it out. You're listening to It's 12 O'Clock Somewhere with little old me, Candelo Kimbisa. I'll be right back.
Last night a DJ saved my life. Last night a DJ saved my life, yeah. 'Cause I was sitting there bored to death, and in just one breath he said, "You gotta get up, you gotta get off, you gotta get down, girl. You know you drive me crazy, baby. You've got me turning to another man. Called you on the phone, no one's home. Baby, why leave me all alone? And if it wasn't for the music, I don't know what I'd do. Yeah. Last night a DJ saved my life. Last night a DJ saved my life from a broken heart. Last night a DJ saved my life. Last night a DJ saved my life with a song. You know I hopped into my car, didn't get very far, no. Before I had you on my mind, why be so unkind? You've got your women all around this town. But I was trapped in love with you, and I didn't know what to do. radio. I found out all I needed to know. Check it out. Last night a DJ saved my life. Last night a DJ saved my life from a broken heart. Last night a DJ saved my life. Last night a DJ saved my life with a song. Last night a DJ saved my life. Last night a DJ saved my life from a broken heart. Last night a DJ saved my life. Last night a DJ saved my life with a song. Hey, listen up to your local DJ. You better hear what he's got to say.
It's not a problem that I can't fix, 'cause I can do it in the mix. And if your man gives you trouble just to move out on a double, and you don't let it trouble your brain, 'cause away goes trouble down the drain. Said away goes trouble down the drain. Dub time.
Now that was In Deep with Last Light, a DJ Saved My Life. I want to send a quick shout out to everybody that's listening to us in our chat room. I see we have Yvette the Motown Witch from the MotownWitch.com. We have Chantel from Oh So Divine in beautiful London, England. We have Ifai Bayu from Love Supply Botanica. We have Miss Danielle Desiree Hill also standing here with us. We have several people in our chat room, especially Miss Josette, who happened to join us today for the first time. Thank you for being here. Mr. Obatala, what's going on with you, brother? Thank you for coming in each and every day. I absolutely love you guys. Please do tell everybody that's listening to us in all the shops and all the places that tune in each and every day on It's 12 o'clock somewhere, where I try to bring a little light, a little fun, and a whole bunch of music to people and try to do our thing. Remember that Ifai Bayu is going to be at the Conjure Shop in February. I'll be in Atlanta, Georgia in January, and we'll both be in June, I believe, in two places. We'll be at Conjure New Orleans with Hoodoos and Mose, Mama Star, and then the Conjure Caravan begins again, when we will all be in Salem, Massachusetts for the Salem Conjure Gala. We got the lock on this thing. I surely appreciate each and every one of you coming in every day and checking us out and doing our things. As the holiday season approaches, I ask each and every one of you to please reconnect with your ancestors. Before this new year is done, guys, if you haven't done it yet, get yourself a spiritual investigation, get yourself a reading, check out what it is that you can do to better yourself for the new year. For those of you who have lost loved ones in this year or last year, or maybe many years before, I know that you start getting these holiday blues right about this time. Talk to somebody about it. Have a conversation. But most of all, have the conversation with them, with your departed, with your egun. Believe you me, they understand. And they will give you that hug or that warmth you may need. Maferefung egun each and every day. And as always, may all the eguns and shadows that accompany you have all the necessary light. From where I sit, that's it. Salam alaikum, everyone.
In a world like today, It's a rare occasion to be able to see young mothers like the ones that were around when I grew up. But they live on in memory to quite a few of us. And this song is dedicated to those who cherish that memory. Early one Sunday morning, breakfast was on the table. There was no time to eat. She said to me, boy, hurry to Sunday school, filled with a Lord of glory. We learned the holy story. She'll always have her dreams, despite the things this troubled world can bring. Oh, say, don't you know we love you, sweet Sadie? Place no one above you, sweet Sadie. Well, 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 living in the past. Sometimes it seems so funny, no money will turn your life around. Sweeter than cotton candy, stronger than Papa's old brandy. Always that needed smile. Once in a while, she would break down and cry. Sometimes she'd be so happy, being with us and Daddy, standing the worst of times, breaking the binds with just a simple song. Oh, Sadie Mae, don't you know, still loving us all in your special way. Well, 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 there's no one above you, sweet Sadie, living in the past. Oh, she's never sinning. In love, she's always winning. Yeah. My, 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 my. You know we love you, I love you, girl. I just can't forget how you gave me love. Oh, Lord. If there's a heaven up above, I know she's teaching angels how to love. It's a mean world without you. All the love you show. Oh, how could anyone ever doubt you love the world? Ain't it funny that in the end it's not money? It's just the love you gave us all. Why, to the good lead soul, so. Say they love my song. Oh Lord, I'm all alone. I miss her so. Well, don't you know we love you? I love you, Mama. There's no one above you. Let me just try one more time and say and though we were very poor, she tried to love us that much more. Sadie, no one above you, sweet. The premier of ladies. Oh, sometimes I feel so alone, but I know that I gotta go on. It's what she wanted from me. You know we love you, sweet. I know it's gonna be hard sometimes. There's no one above you, sweet. Oh, Sadie. Her memory still lingers near. Ah, just let me run, let me go. You know don't you? Why you wanna make me feel so down? Well,
It's 12 o'clock somewhere was brought to you by the My High Conjugala, Kimbisa.org, and ProfessorPorterfield.com.